Talking with an accent on all things Southern. This is the Y'all Show with John Rawl, and it's time now on the show that's all about the South to take it to Music Row, where we find Preshias Harris. It's the Nashville Music Line Report on the show that's all about the Southeast. And we were very lucky to be on Music Row just a few days ago. We're not there today, but Preshias is on Music Row, where we always find her there at her lovely post. And Preshias is on with us right now on the show that's all about the Southeast. Hello, Preshias Harris. I'm sorry, we cut out on you. What was that?
I hope you're doing good today.
I am doing good. How are you? How's Music Row?
It's a little slow today. We had a couple of little up-twist tornadoes south of town in Williamson County. But everybody's back to normal, and it looks like it's going to be a decent day today. We got a couple of writing sessions this evening, so I'm excited.
That right there literally is where the music and the magic happens. Preshias' office there, Preshias and the College of Songology is where you can learn more about what she does there on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. And, of course, Preshias is a music career development consultant, and we'll tell you more about what she does there in that role as a music career development consultant. Don't forget that her website is NashvilleMusicLine.com, and she's the author of I Know Country. That's got 366 daily country music questions and answers, and you can buy and instantly download your copy at IKnowCountry.com. Preshias, did we cover it all right there?
Yes. It's so funny. I've had a couple of people ask me, because I don't have the best grammar, as you can tell in some of this show, but that's okay. But I had someone tell me, and unfortunately she's gone on to heaven now, tell me that I didn't have good grammar and I would never do anything. And I really don't have good grammar, but that's not going to stop you from writing books and doing what you do. You know, it may take you a little longer, but it makes me feel good to know that, like I said, it's so crazy. I can balance literally publishing percentages in my head, but I can't balance my checkbook. So it's like give and take. But I'm good to go.
Preshias, we don't have you on the Y'all Show because of your grammatical prowess or your ability to check a bank account. We have you on, why we got you on the show that's all about the South? Because you're Preshias.
Well, thank you, darling. I'm excited to be here. I got some good news to share, so I'm excited.
Well, I want to hear your good news, but my goodness, Preshias, we got to start with the big news from this past weekend. How about the wedding in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee?
Yes, actually, I have someone who was on the stage with them, the guitar player. He actually played it was Ernie, her oldest, Loretta Lynn's oldest son, and his wife renewed their vows. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Kid Rock shows up because he's a huge Loretta fan. And apparently it was some back and forth. And they said, why don't we do it since the preacher's here? So apparently it was, I hate to use a shotgun wedding, but, weddings it's like really fast. So I guess that, but Loretta was laughing about that term actually in a press release I seen. So, apparently her and Kid Rock tied the knot, but when they got down to the nitty gritty, they realized that it was a joke. But it was so close to the truth just because of the situation surrounding it with her oldest son, Ernie. I think that's Taylor Lynn's dad. I think her granddaughter who's following in her footsteps. So it was a fun time. My friend already posted pictures before it even hit the news. So I thought they better get it out there quick because we were watching on Facebook as it happened.
Preshias, I know with Kid Rock, anything's possible, sometimes because of extracurricular likes of Kid Rock. Surely to goodness, Loretta Lynn wasn't nipping something when she decided to just get married this past weekend to Kid Rock.
No, she wasn't. But see, you have to realize Loretta is probably got one of the best sense of humors of any country artist I have ever met. She's always added that. She's got a natural ability to be funny. I mean, and her comebacks are incredible. And if you follow her over the years, you'll hear some of the stuff she's had from Hee Haw to, Music City Tonight, where Ralph Emery would put her on the spot and she'd come right out of it looking like a queen. But it was so fun. They just decided to do it. I think it was a media opportunity. All the stars lined up. It was already there. And because I've got a picture, of course, it's hanging in my office hallway that Katrina, my photographer, took of Kid Rock looking sweet down at Loretta, and Loretta looking up tweeted him at the Nashville Songwriter Awards last September to be a year, I think the 16th or 17th. But it's so sweet because you've got two people raised in completely different situations, born years apart, that have come together to put a smile on everybody's face.
And
So
they
I
did
just wish
that.
I could have been there.
You didn't get on the invite list, huh?
Well, it wasn't. It was. I don't know Ernie and them, but if it would have been a different area of what media gets to go to, like I've got a media thing next week with Song Suffragettes at the listening room, but that's a more personal level and not a commercial level for
Mm-hmm.
industry. Because it's Ernie and them renewing their vows. But they hired a band from the Mark Dreyer, my friend, who's a producer, who's produced the one of my clients, Andrew Hobson, who's number 20 on the CDX charts this week, was Stronger Than That. And he was there. And then, of course, the cast and crew from the General Jackson. So it was a really good party. But like I said, I saw it that night before it ever hit the news media that morning. And my husband came in there, he goes, "Hey, did you see this last night?" I went, yeah, I saw it right after it happened. And he goes, "What?" So they were hurrying to get it on the web. It was such a good media opportunity. And because of the pandemic, anytime that somebody can use something to extend a little laughter and happiness and smiles,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad they're doing it, especially Miss Loretta. I just love her.
When I
You
heard
know,
about this, Precious, I know Conway and Loretta had a lot of duets, including Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man. I think people may not realize that she needs to redo that song to be more of a Tennessee River song because Loretta Lynn lives on the east side of the Tennessee River in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, and Kid Rock, along with Hank Williams Jr., they look across from the west side of the Tennessee River in Henry County, Tennessee. So perhaps there's a sequel, a follow-up to that great song of Conway and Loretta's with all about the Tennessee River, since the Tennessee River helped bring them together.
actually, if she was going to do it, it's actually a really good opportunity right now. But I know that she's been in the studio with a pretty big producer for a while, recording enough music to do the next 20 years.
Ooh.
But that's all I can tell you.
All right. Well, we want to know more about that when we can find out from Loretta, the coal miner's daughter. Let's talk about another great country legend. Sadly, we lost her, 30 years ago now. Dottie West and the Birthday Bash. The star-studded the fourth annual Dottie West Birthday Bash, hosted by Jeannie Seeley. That's now slated for a October 14th date at 3rd and Lindsley. What more can you tell us about what Jeannie Seeley does to honor this Grand Ole Opry singer, Dottie West?
They were really good friends, but they actually been moved to 2021
Oh, that's been pushed back. Okay, my
for a
apologies.
year. Um, you know, because right now, I do think that it wouldn't get as much attention as we would like, and it's always been a major sellout thing, and people are aware of it and everything. So the tickets are usually gone before as soon as they go on sale. And because there were still under the mandate here in Davidson County, I think Miss Jeannie and the people surrounding Miss Dottie's estate has made a good decision on postponing it till next year. I wish it would be in March because I was so excited to get back to some semi-normalcy, but
Mm-hmm.
we always do it around Miss Dottie's birthday, which is in October, so that's why that they have rescheduled it. But she died, 1991, on her way to the Opry.
Sure did. Dottie West from around McMinnville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee native there. Let's talk about a second generation singer, and that's Lucas Nelson, the son of Willie Nelson, as he wants to make a desert island record. He was interviewed by the Tennessean there in Nashville, and he says he spent much of the self-quarantine doing a time going through a collection of 200 unpublished songs that he's written over the past 10 years. So songwriting from the Nelson family keeps on trucking. And the objective of Lucas Nelson is to find songs that are the best of this batch and good enough to go on an album that you'd want to take with you on a desert island. What more can you tell us about Lucas Nelson and what he's doing here in this quarantine?
Well, actually, Willie and them live in Hawaii, and they all, that's where his home base is, even though he visits Nashville when he can. But Lucas has been in his band for since he's been able enough to play and tour with him. Because I know that Willie had a sister, and her name slipped my mind, but anyway, but Willie's always encouraged family affair when it comes to music on stage. So Lucas is no stranger to the stage. Also, can you imagine as prolific as Willie is, from Crazy to him being part of the Highwaymen? So that's all Lucas has really ever known is the music industry as far as the influences of songwriting stuff. He's got a legendary and almost an iconic, and that's the word I'm not used loosely with Mr. Willie as a father. So he's not only had the raising in the industry, he's also had what to do and what not to do. Because Willie's gotten himself trusting people, in tax trouble and things like that, and he finally got through with it. And Willie, he's bent the rules a little bit, but you got to love Willie Nelson. If you don't like Willie Nelson, you need to go somewhere else because he's amazing. Anyway, but I'm glad to see Lucas is coming out on his own. And, because sometimes you have people that live in the shadow of their famous siblings. And I can name 5 that comes to my mind right now, even though that the 5 that I know are incredible artists and songwriters on their own. They still have that situation where they're second generation, I'm actually interviewing a second generation she's not an artist, but interviewing her about I'm working on an album for international distribution, and so her father's a member of the Grand Ole Opry. So I'm hoping, and I can't say it yet, but I will be able to announce it later. She decided not to follow in the footsteps, even though she's probably one of the best female singers I've heard in a long time. When she was singing in the 70s, following in her father's footsteps in the early 80s, when she was big enough to sing. I think she was 6 when her father died. But I'll give you some more news about that as I'm able to share it, because you know how I like to. I really don't keep good secrets.
No, you don't. And Precious, remember, when you come on this show, your little secret is just between you and I, okay? Nobody else will know a thing. Now, let me tell you a little something. Since Willie Nelson and it looks like Lucas is carrying on the family tradition of being great songwriters, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, they've had to reschedule their 2020 gala to next year. And I know a lot of people were excited about this class of 2020, but now it will have to be pushed back. Precious, what's going on with this Songwriters Hall of Fame? Is this what's at the old Coliseum in downtown Nashville?
No, this one actually in the last few years have been held at the Music City Center, but I'm a life member of Nashville Songwriters. So okay. I get to vote on the top 10, songs I wished I'd written, which is the hardest thing I ever do, seriously, besides balance my checkbook. I'm serious.
And speak the English language, evidently, too.
Yes. And but I actually talked.
That stung. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said. That was mean. I'm sorry.
That was mean. But you know what? I'm used to you. I've been knowing you since you were knee high to a grasshopper. Well, you've never really been knee high, but because I've always looked up to you ever since I've known you. But you get the gist.
Yes.
Anyway, Mark Ford, who is the executive director, he had emailed me and emailed the press release, and I saw it, to the members, and I'm like, I knew that it was coming. I was hoping it wouldn't, but and I wrote him a note saying I understand. I was sad to see it, but I know that the safety, because a lot of our songwriters are in the elderly population that show up, Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say who they are because some of my friends, he goes, "What? You're calling me elderly?" Even though he's 84, But we just have to stay safe. And the one thing we don't want is saying, "Oh, I've gotten COVID when I was at the NSAI Hall of Fame," or that's where they started. So to keep it down, but they're going to have double inductions, which is going to be a phenomenal night. I'm going to probably pack my sleeping bag because I'll be so tired, because we literally start having a grand old time at 3:30 in the evening with the red carpet and all that stuff. But he did tell me, and I told him I've looked forward to celebrating, because each year I've been a table sponsor for the past 8 years. So, and that's what all the kids look forward to. And the ones who's really worked hard gets an invitation to be able to sit at the table. They want to, but if they've been messing around and not doing what they're supposed to, and then they don't get an invite.
Precious, help me out. I know there's some kind of Hall of Fame of some type in the old Nashville Municipal Auditorium downtown. Is that the Musicians Hall of Fame?
Yes, that's what you're saying, the Musicians Hall of Fame.
Okay, where is the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame then?
No, that's actually the Hall of Fame, the actual presentation of the songwriters. They took it, they used to be at NSAI forever in the hallway, the pictures and stuff, but they end up moving it to the new convention center, Music City Center. So on the ground floor, there's a huge, like 45-foot display of all the inductees for the Hall of Fame songwriters induction. Now, I'll tell you one thing. The last time I was at the Musicians Hall of Fame was when the Rolling Stones exhibit came through town. I'm so glad I got to go because a friend of mine's dad is Bobby Hughes, who actually played sax on, for the Stones for 45 years. But the Musicians Hall of Fame, they lost millions and millions of dollars worth of things that were stored that they didn't have room for because they were just getting their new place. They hadn't really gotten it yet at, like you said, at the old auditorium there on 4th and the 4th and James Robertson. Anyway, at the Municipal Auditorium, but they lost Angus Young's guitar. I think they've salvaged some of it, but it was just a sad situation because it took them almost over a year and a half, almost 2 years, if I remember right, of trying to get some of the instruments restored. And some of them couldn't be restored. They were just so badly damaged. They just had to throw them away, which makes it sad. But I love Musicians Hall of Fame because, not because my cousins got inducted last year, but because that it's just a wonderful place. If you love music, it's just informative. And you realize there's different sets of groups like the Swampers from Muscle Shoals that actually helped make the music that came out of the South. And you got the Macon, Georgia boys, and you got the Glenn Campbell, and he was in LA, and he was a huge session musician before he ever became famous. So it's really cool to see all these different aspects of the people are like, oh, I didn't know he did that, or I didn't know he did that. So it's just a really cool, enlightening day to go visit the museum. So, and hopefully they'll be back up to full capacity soon.
Since we're into sharing each other's secrets and nobody will ever know, I must confess that I've actually seen a portion of this Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame at the Convention Center there in downtown Nashville. An unbelievable property, by the way. Our little secret, Precious, I happen to be at the Southern Women's Show pre-coronavirus. And while I was in there attending the Southern Women's Show, and I'm definitely perfectly comfortable with my sexuality, by the way, I was there for y'all-related reasons. I actually saw a portion of their displays, and I saw one for Mike Reed, former NFL player who had the hit song Walk on Faith and was a great songwriter back in the 80s and 90s. Did a duet with Ronnie Millsap. I saw his presentation there in the convention center, the new convention center. And I say new, it's probably been there 10 years now. But yeah, go check it out. Part of the charm of Nashville, Tennessee. Let's ask a trivia question before we talk a little Luke Bryan news, Precious. And our trivia question this week, can you name the country duo who played their final concert back on September 2nd, 10 years ago, September 2nd, 2010, and this was a concert at the Bridgestone Arena just down the street from this convention center of which we speak, and that's in Nashville. Name the duo who played that what's called a final concert 10 years ago this week. We'll have that answer for you in just a second as we are visiting with Preshias Harris. This is the Nashville Music Line at y'all.com. Now back to some Luke Bryan news, Preshias Harris. As Luke Bryan, he's part of a something called a cool destination focused on artist-forward first-person storytelling, music.com. At the site, artists share personal thoughts and ideas about their music in a deeply personal way. And Luke Bryan is a part of this music.com showcase as he's sharing personal details about each track on his new album, Born Here, Live Here, Die Here. Way to go, Luke Bryan, as if we needed more info, juicy info on the Georgia boy, Luke Bryan.
Well, you have to remember, I met Luke as a songwriter. He wasn't an artist yet. And we were going to BMI, where he's a member, to celebrate. Rachel Thibodeau, who was the ASCAP writer on this song, they came together and wrote a song called Good. I have a brain fart right now.
No way.
Well, that's what I get for listening to the Beach Boys. All I could think was Good Vibrations, but it's not. But it's Billy Currington's big first #1 record. But Luke was one of the
Good Directions?
Good Directions, yes, sorry. See? And I've done my hair really blonde. Can you tell it was an
Yeah, I
accident?
can tell. And Precious, anytime you have those brain flatulations, just reach out to me and I'll be glad to help you.
Thank you, dear. It's I can't blame it on the blonde. I don't think this time, but anyway, like I said, what they've done is the person that's actually behind the media push on this is one of my good friends that is the PR person for the NAM association and the NAM, for everything for their NAM education and the things that they do around the globe for music education from America with all the different. NAM stands for National Association of Music Merchandisers. And some of the members are Martin Guitar, Marshall Amps, Gibson, anything to do with live performance stage. It's like a huge record, a musician store, an instrument store like Sam's. It's like Sam's and Mars and Guitar Center, every record store in the whole world smushed together with all the mom and pops mixed in. And it's usually have the summer NAM in Nashville, which they had to cancel this year. And then the winter NAM in LA, which I heard it's virtual. They're not going to have it, which makes me sad because I had already planned on being there. But music.com has been around for a while, but Luke literally gives an insight. It's almost like a cut by cut on a record where you get to know the story behind the song, who's the writer, what it was written about, what the idea is when you went in the room, but it's all on video by the artist himself who cut it. And but at first I'm thinking, really? And then when you see the music.com, you see the other artists on there, it's like I could have had a V8 brainchild because I'm like, I cannot believe that this vision of getting it out there to the fans and getting up close and personal with the artist had not been done before. It's just a genius idea. I'm just amazed that it hasn't been done before. But Luke talks about his album and one thing about Luke, you can count on two things. He's never going to change, and he's always going to be very open and honest with his fans and the public, and the interviews are always forthcoming and honest and with a hint of a comedian in them sometimes. But you've got to see it. I can't explain words, but it's just like sitting there, act like you've got a conversation going on one-on-one with Luke Bryan. It's amazing. So if you get a chance, check it out at music.com.
We'll do that. Preshias Harris, wrapping up with you. We got to answer that trivia question, of which that question was, can you name the country music duo that played their final concert exactly 10 years ago this week, September 2nd, 2010, and this was a concert held in downtown Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. Preshias, I think I know the answer. We've given our audience plenty of time to come up with the answer to this. For $500 million, Preshias, who is this country music duo that played 10 years ago their final concert?
One of my favorites, B&D, Brooks and Dunn.
Oh, you got it wrong. See, I get to keep the money. You said B&D.
Oh.
You mean Brooks and Dunn?
Yes.
Oh.
But when I used to intern for them, because when they were breaking with Brand New Man and they got Best New Duo, I think in 91 or 92 at the ACM. I think it's 91 because Alan Jackson, their label mate, got Best New Male that year, I think. Yeah, 91, 92. Because I met Alan the year before at the Arista party before they even had a real place to have it. They were renting a bottom floor of a building here. But I remember hearing Brand New Man, and I told Ronnie one day that I used to cut out these little bright orange cassettes to stick them in cassettes to send to the station called Radioactive. And I remember hearing Brand New Man and typing it and cutting it out to my fingers bled with X-Acto knife to send to radio called Brand New Man. And I'm thinking, this is going to be a monster smash hit. And it was a song that broke them. So,
and Brand New Man, Preshias, it happened to also be the last song played there at Bridgestone Arena when they walked off the stage 10 years ago in their final concert. Remember, Brooks and Dunn have kind of had this reboot project that's had a lot of artists join them in the last year or so. So they're not totally divorced, if you will. And we love Kix and Ronnie getting together. But it was 10 years ago when officially they rode off supposedly into the sunset. Let's look at who's making waves now, Preshias, from the top 5 of the Billboard Country Airplay chart. Maddie and Tay, another great duo. Their song that was a number 1 not long ago, Die From a Broken Heart, checks in at number 5 this week. Thomas Rhett, right there, just off of Center Point Road. Be a Light. I know. I just was at Center Point Barbecue the other day. You know, I went in there to go get me some barbecue while I was there in Greater Hendersonville, and they didn't wait on me. So I walked away and went somewhere else. I know that they were open, to their credit, but that's a great BBQ place there, right between, the north end of Madison and Henderson, and Goodlettsville's right around the corner too there. Thomas Rhett, Be a Light at number 4. Kane Brown, the North Georgian, at number 3 with Cool Again. And Florida Georgia Line checks in at number 2 with I Love My Country. And North Carolina and Appalachian State University alum Luke Combs back on top of the charts with his number 1, Lovin' on You. And it becomes Luke Combs, believe this or not, his 9th consecutive number 1 on the Billboard Country Airplay chart. Luke co-wrote the song with Thomas Archer, Ray Fulcher, and James McNair. Every single that Luke Combs has put out to radio in his career has gone to numero uno, Precious.
Yeah, it's this is what happens when you get a really good group that you're comfortable with as writers. Matter of fact, Ray Fulcher, I've got a thing with him next week. I may invite you to be my +1 because I don't think my husband's going to go with me. He doesn't.
Oh, we don't want rumors circulating on Music Row about us, Precious.
I know. Anyway, but I'll double check on that. But I'm, like I said, I've watched from the first moment I got the press release from Luke. But he's so different, and he's so not your normal artist, because he came out of the gate saying I'm a songwriter first, then I'm an artist. So I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of the respect came in early for him on that. And he's got something going on for the ACMs. I can't announce it, but there's going to be a special commercial because I'm sworn to secrecy, and that's my left hand or right hand, whichever one. Anyway, you know what I mean. Anyway.
She is Preshias Harris. Real quick, before we get out of here, I'm going to zip through some things that have happened in country music history this week. Yeah. It was in 1982, Willie Nelson's Always on My Mind was number 1 on the charts. In 1986, Randy Travis's first album, Storms of Life, was number 1 on the Billboard Country Album chart. Way back in 1954, this week, George Jones married his second wife, Shirley Ann Corley. She was 18 when she married the possum. They divorced in 1968. And we mentioned Dottie West earlier. Dottie West sadly died during surgery following a car wreck on her way to the Grand Ole Opry this week in 1991. Birthdays this week. Oh, Conway. Conway was born back in 1933 on September 1st of 1933, and he died sadly in 1993. Also, Exile member Steve Getzman, born in 1950 this week. Charlie Robinson, who is a Texan, he was born in 1964. Also, Grenada, Mississippi's own Charlie Worsham, born in 1985, and he was born on September 1st. And then this week also Paul Deacon of the Mavericks with a new Latin release that's out, 1959, the year he was born. And then Tom Paul Glaser, born in 1933. He died in 2013. That's a quick look at some of your country music birthdays here this week. Precious, thank you so much for coming on. Reminder, you can find Preshias Harris at Nashville. Let's see, you can go to a couple different websites for her. Don't forget about the NashvilleMusicLine.com and collegeofsongology.com. Some of the many ways to connect with Preshias Harris, our insider on Music Row. Hey, we appreciate your time and look forward to catching up with you again next week. I'm hoping you'll be here next week, so keep my fingers crossed. Hey, you give me the order and I'll be there. All right. Good to see you. Bye-bye. All right. Preshias Harris, y'all. And that will wrap up the show that's all about the South from our Music Roast, our office there, courtesy of Preshias Harris. We'll catch y'all again just in a few.